about you. You're right here, but you got to do something with the alcohol. And so they told me, said, well, you go to rehab. I said, yeah, I go to rehab. So they sent me to rehab for 2 weeks, and it didn't do me one bit of good. Not one bit. So they called me back in there and said, listen, you got an ultimatum. Either you're going to get dropped from the label, or we're going to have to do something. And they said, well, you go to an alcohol clinic. Does anybody here know what a real alcohol clinic is? Does anybody? You know what I'm talking about. Hell no. It ain't rehab. This is an alcohol clinic. So I agreed to go. They sent me down, went out of Nashville up there. We checked in on it, and they send you to orientation, all this here stuff, tell you what to expect, what to do, blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. Then they give you a little room. I call it a little jail cell. It was like a little tiny room. And all that's got in that, it's like a jail cell. You got a toilet, you got a bed, you got a little chair there, and they got a dresser. Or they did in my room, they had a dresser in there. And on that dresser, there was a bottle of vodka sitting on that dresser. I said, ain't this the stupidest thing I have ever seen? I thought I was in here to get cleaned up, and they giving it to me. I said, this might not be too bad in here. This is free, you know. I didn't know what it was for, but I soon found out what it was for. You see, I was going to these classes, and they had me on the medicines to start with. And after like the third day, they started on the injections. After a little bit, I could feel the sweats coming on. I could feel the DTs. I could feel my gut started twisting. I said, I'm not going through this again. Not my gut ain't going to twist. No. I found out what the bottle was for. You get that desperate. And I reached for that bottle. I picked that bottle up, and I turned it up. I didn't even get it down good. Everything in me blew up. I threw up everywhere. I could not stop. I kept turning it up, kept throwing up. And I had nothing else to throw up. And I was getting so sore and tired. But you know what? When that bottle was gone, they would come in there and they would get that bottle, and they'd bring another bottle and set it right back up on the dresser. This went on and on. And by the way, they don't come in there and clean up your room either. You're sitting there wallowing in it. And if you don't want to just keep wallowing in it, you clean it up yourself. So I cleaned up the room, and I just kept drinking. I could not stop. I got so sore. Long story short, it kept on going. I was in there 2 weeks. I then got drawn up to nothing. I lost so much weight. I was so weak. They brought the doctors in there. The doctors come in and they check me. And they told them, said, get him off now and start filling him up with cranberry juice. They started feeding me cranberry juice. And he's got to get off of this. He's literally dying inside. That's how bad I had it, y'all. I didn't just like to drink. I had it bad. They started pumping cranberry juice in me for a day or so. I started coming out of it. They classified me. They said, we have got to release him. So they got my strength back a little bit, and they wrote in the report to send back to RCA records. They said I was classified as an extreme alcoholic. I don't know what that term is. They classified me as an extreme alcoholic. Being from Ward, South Carolina, I thought, well, that's just a big drunk. He's an extreme drunk, boy. That ain't what it means. It's a medical term. Extreme alcoholic means that you cannot be cured. You can't be cured. That's what the doctor said. You can't be cured. And that's what I was classified. Well, RCA dropped me. They blackballed me in Nashville. My music career was done because of alcohol. I couldn't turn it down. Couldn't get rid of it. So I lost my music career. I came home. And now y'all want to hear something stupid? I built the biggest nightclub on the East Coast. Nightclub, y'all, called Hurricane Central. But God had a plan. Because out of that nightclub, our bus in that club. That's back there on the bongo drum thing. Him and his wife Linda, they came out of that nightclub. Now they're serving the Lord. Come on. How about that? Come on. When I had that nightclub, 7 years, and I built it to code, I built it to everything, just like they told me to. Yeah, and I was open for 7 years. See, God's got a plan. Sometimes we get ahead, and you say, well, God, He can't use, that kind of stuff. Yes, He can. He can use a donkey. He can use a drunk. So I built that big nightclub. Like I say, 7 years later, they closed it down, said I didn't have enough exit doors in that church, in that club. So they shut me down. We could seat about 5,000 people in that nightclub. That's how big it was. Let me tell you how your worldly friends are. And we'd have that place packed out all the time. I'd be buying everybody drinks and all this kind of stuff. I got desperate. I needed somebody to put another door in there so that let me get open back up. I started calling all my worldly friends, y'all. Your best friends. Yeah, worldly friends. Ain't it amazing? Start calling on them. Well, I got something to do. It might be a week or two, but I can help you in a week or two, or blah, 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 this. Well, I've been working so hard lately, I'm just tired when I get home. Come on. Every excuse you can possibly think of, y'all. I went through my list. But you know what? I look back on it now. God didn't want them to help me. So I knew one guy, and we was friends. It was because of music. He was a musician. And he went to a little Pentecostal holiness church right down the road from the nightclub. Now I'm talking about one of these real Pentecostal, speaking in tongues, rolling around the floor and all this kind of jumping over pews, hooping and hollering, speaking in tongues. And there ain't nothing wrong with that either, because that's what I am now. But I called him. I said, he ain't going to come down here to help me. I know he ain't. But you know what? God had me to call that man. I called. And he said, well, brother, I'll run down there and look at it, see if I can help you. He came down there, looked at it. He made me a material list. He said, you gather up all these materials, go get this door, get this frame, blah, blah, blah. He wrote it all down. You gather it up, give me a call, and if you'll help me, I'll come down there and we'll put the door in for you. Here's a man of God. So I gathered it all up. I called him. Sure enough, just like his word said. He came down there. We put that door in. I got it opened back up. He started putting his tools up. And I went back to a big old bar across the room. And I started counting out cash, money. But they never told me a price. I started counting out cash to give him some money. He was way back there, and he took his tools and started to go out the door. He went out the door. And I said, wait a minute, Linwood. Wait a minute. I said, wait a minute. I said, how much do I owe you? He said, you don't owe me a thing, brother. And he went on out the door. Well, I kept counting money. I was going to go out there and give him some money anyway. He stuck his head back in the door. He said, by the way, church starts at 11 o'clock Sunday morning. I said, no, you didn't. You ain't getting me in no church. Not this one. I stopped counting money. I started grabbing handfuls of money. I didn't care how much it cost anymore. That didn't bother me. I took off running. By the time I got out of the parking lot, he'd already got in his truck. His window was down about that far. Y'all ever seen a drunk trying to chase a truck out of the driveway, trying to throw money in that little window? That's not a pretty sight, y'all. But I did. I was doing anything, but I was not going to church. Needless to say, none of my money got in the little window. I was going down through there drunk trying to pick up all my money. It was all over the driveway now. So, he got that Saturday night, and I got some guys. I said, listen, because we closed like at 2, or whatever it was. I said, I need some guys that hang out with me tonight. We'll play pool night. The bar's open. Y'all can drink anything y'all want to. Just hang in here with me. Because I knew if I went to bed, I'd never get up. So I was going to stay up all night. When it got Sunday morning, I didn't know I was in the world. I was so drunk. Y'all know what I was just smoking one right after the other. I don't have to tell y'all what a drunk smells like. We stink. We stink. But it got time to go to church. I told the guy, I said, man, take me to that little church down there. So he got me in the truck. We pulled up, and it was just a little bitty tiny church. I mean, it's half this big, little block building, little Pentecostal church there. It's kind of like in the whole like. Well, they put it like a 2x4 thing there at the threshold in the door when you come in to keep the water from coming in the door. So I told him, I said, just pull up right there in front of that door. I was late, by the way, y'all. Pull up there in front of that door, and I said, just wait. I'm going in, walk in, I'm sit on that back row for about 5 minutes, and I'm getting up, I'm coming out, and I said, okay, I came to church. Let me tell you. My first experience in church, y'all, I come in there, and by the way, you ever seen a drunk trying not to be drunk? That's really bad. So I'm trying not to be drunk. I opened that door up, and they was up there singing and going on, and I come in there, and I hit that threshold. I went rolling down through that aisle. And I'd always seen this here, you know, holy roller rolling around the floor. I said, my first experience of going to church, I was an automatic holy roller boy. I was in the floor. I was rolling around there. It's funny. The bottom line, I'm going to tell you something. Wasn't many people. What, 25 people maybe? Older people. Hey, the first person come there, picked me up and told me, you got to leave. Not the first one over. Not the first one. They helped me get in that little chair. When church service was over, I was still sitting in that chair. I didn't want to leave. I was sitting in that chair. And them little people, they come by there instead of turning their noses up at me or want me to leave. You know what they do? They would come by and say, we're so glad you came. Come back to see us. Come back to see us. Y'all know what a drunk smells like. I stunk. But they didn't care. They loved me. Those little people loved me. They didn't care if I was drunk. They invited me back to church. Not come back. Don't come back. They invited me back to church. They wanted me to come back. That next Sunday, I wanted to come back on my own. Of course, nothing changed. I'm still drunk. I did the same routine. Got somebody to take me down there. Next morning, I was drunk. And this is the honest truth, y'all. For 3 Sundays in a row, I fell in that church. I was so drunk, and that threshold, I couldn't remember to pick my foot to get up over it. I'd fall in that little church 3 times, and people still loved me. Love me. That's what I'm talking about. Love. Churches have gotten old. That's what it is. It's love. I was going to that church. My wife, we wasn't married then. I lost my wife and my family and all this other stuff and all. I lost all my money. Lost everything. Me and her was dating. He says, what are you doing down there at the church? Oh, by the way, she wasn't no angel. Okay, let's get that straight.
Yeah, she was.
No, she wasn't. I met her in my nightclub. I just want to get that straight now. She wasn't an angel either. And she kept saying, what are you doing now? I said, I don't know. I just love that little church. I like going there. And she said, well, I want to go with you. So she started going with me. Then it got where we'd go on Sunday night. Then it got where we'd go on Wednesday night. Anytime the doors was open, we was going. And the people that worked for me in the club, they thought I done lost my mind. On Wednesday evening, I said, hey, y'all, watch it for a couple hours. We're going to be gone for a while. Where are you going? I said, the church said, you lost your mind. I said, no, I'm going to church. Drunk. This went on for 6 months. Nothing changed. I was still drunk. Them people still love me. They didn't care what I was. We got married. 6 months later, we got married in that little church. We went on our honeymoon. The very first Sunday we came back to that little church, Diane got saved in that little church the very first Sunday we got back. 2 weeks later, I got saved in that little church. And that's been 28 years ago. 28 years ago. But the thing, when you put all your faith in God, I don't care what a doctor in Nashville says, I don't care. You see, we went home that night that I got saved. We went home. We purged our house. We took anything that wasn't godly out of our house. We went out in the front yard and we had a fire going, boy. And everybody needs to purge your house every now and then because the devil's got a way of getting stuff in your house. I don't care how Christian or whatever. He can get junk in your house. But we purged our house. We had a lot of junk in ours. And we had us a bonfire going. Then I told her, I said, it's time to let's get real. Let's go get the cases of vodka. Went out there and we started popping those bottles and pouring it out and pouring it out. And let me tell you what the devil will do. He's a liar, he's a liar, he's a liar. And he ain't going to let you go easy. When you get saved, get ready for the war. You fix to get to battle. And that's what we need to let people know a lot of times. Whenever you get saved, it ain't going to be a bed of roses. You fixing to have a battle on your hands. Because he's coming after you. And he's going to make it look so sweet and so innocent. Because he's a liar. You see, that's what he did to me. I got down to that last bottle. I started to pop the top. And that liar sitting right there, he said, you know what? This is how nice he can be. You know what? You know what it's like to go through DTs and withdrawals, this kind of stuff. It's a good thing that you give it up. But for an emergency, or just in case, you might ought to keep that one bottle around, just in case. That's a lie. Trying to sugarcoat it. But you know what? He sugarcoated enough for me because I said, oh, that's right. I better. I ain't never going through that. I'll keep this one bottle. I looked over there at Diane. She said, what are you doing? I said, well, I might better keep this bottle just in case, Big stoked tears come out of her eyes. She was there just started like this. I said, what's wrong with you? This hurts, y'all. But God spoke to me through her. She said, you have just spit in God's face. What are you talking about? He said, you just got out of that altar down there, begging and crying for God to take that alcohol from you. And you ain't got enough faith to think that he can't do it. You're going to listen to a liar? Man, that hurt me. I said, you're right. I popped that top and I poured that bottle out. 28 years ago, I ain't never went through no DTs, withdrawals. I ain't went through absolutely nothing. Nothing. Haven't even water to drop. 28 years. Tell me my God ain't real. And I'm telling you what, I don't care what doctors say. Thank God for doctors. And I don't care what a doctor says. I am not an extreme alcoholic because I turned it over to the head doctor. I am not an extreme alcoholic. Get a second opinion. That's what I say. Get a second opinion. And that's what my God does. And the big thing, that big old nightclub that used to be, that's our church in Aiken, South Carolina. Faith Community Fellowship Church. What I'm saying, God had a plan. He had me to build a big old building. Because now it's a church. Faith Community Fellowship Church. That's the kind of God I serve.
Not they come. He always skips over this part all right. God has a plan way back. Those doors that he had to get Mr. Lester to come in and put in the back of the nightclub, that's the entryway to our sanctuary now, those two doors.
That's what my God can do. This is my testimony song. By the way, we got t-shirts back there with this on it. But this is what it's all about right here. I remember the night at the end of my road. In a motel in Nashville, both searching for hope. In my hand was a Bible, oh, that I read as a child. And on that table was that bottle that was driving me wild. So I poured the whiskey into the glass. I prayed it would help me forget my past. Then I read how Jesus, how he died on that tree. So I poured out that old whiskey and fell down on my knees. Then John 3:16, I God's word wrote that he had over me. I traded Tennessee whiskey for Calvary's tree. That night old Jack Daniels met John 3:16. I see my old friends that I used to know, put down at those places where I used to go. Well, they tell me I'm different than I used to be. Oh, but I love to tell them just what happened to me. That night old Jack Daniels and John 3:16, I God's word wrote that he had over me. I traded Tennessee whiskey for Calvary's tree. That night old Jack Daniels met John 3:16. That night old Jack Daniels met John 3:16. That's John 3:16. That's what that'll do for you. Give my God a hand. Come on. Don't tell me there ain't a God in heaven. Woo! I'm glad to be serving him. I know we're going to keep y'all a little bit long. We're going to close with this last song. It's going to be my new record. Because I'm a two-time Vietnam veteran. I was in Vietnam 1968 and 1969. Brother back down, probably is right there. We was over there at the same time. We was talking about that. And I'm a two-time Vietnam veteran, and I'm proud of it. I love my country. I love my country. We're not perfect, and we got a lot of problems. And we got an election coming up. We need to take this country back and give it back to God where it belongs. That's what we need to be doing. And I'm not endorsing nobody, but I'm endorsing anybody that's going to bring God back to this country and take up for our good country here. That's who I'm for. Yeah. And you know, there's a lot of homeless people out there. I'm partial to veterans. There's a lot of homeless veterans out there. But we don't know why they're homeless. And a lot of people will say, oh, they ought to get a job. They ought to do this. Some might, but we don't know everybody's circumstances. We don't know why they're in that position. Any of us could wind up in that position. We don't have a clue what life holds for us. instead of condemning the homeless or these people like that, condemning them, we ought to be showing them some love. Pray for them, if nothing else. Pray for these people. So anytime people want to abuse and accuse less unfortunate people, and we are less than we are, we need to think. They didn't choose to be that way. They might be that way. They might be choosing to be that way there now, but a lot of them is not. So if we walk in somebody's shoes, we need to watch what we say about it. This is my new record.